All right, hello everybody. Christopher Dillard here with the Conduit and the Community Spotlight. Now, you know I love going out in the community, getting with leaders who are having events coming up, who are already at the top of their game, doing what they do. I am so delighted to be again here on location, interviewing another leader in our community, a young fella who's doing great things in, a place which I'm very familiar with, which I still love. It's called radio. I miss it. I really do miss it. And I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps right now in this studio as I see all of the equipment, the microphones and everything. Man, I feel right at home. So let me tell you, I'm just gleeing here, if that's a word. But I'm so delighted to be on location here today. Talk to a young man, an influencer who's doing great things, have wonderful events that's coming up very soon. Who am I talking about? Now, you know how I like to do it. Let's do this. Let's pan in. Look at that. You see that picture back there, first of all. Look at this dude right.
What's going on, family?
Listen, Q, my camera's about to fall, but we're going to make it work.
Listen, we're going to make it happen, bro. We're going to make it happen. I'm excited to be doing this because you mentioned you being on the airways, and I'm not going to lie to you. I used to love hearing you on our gospel station that we had here in the Upstate. Not sure why they let it go.
You don't remember
Yes, I do. Me and Lovely They Go both used to listen to you.
Oh, you serious?
You, Giovanni Gathers, Lenny Gaines, Willie Moore Jr., Darlene McCoy, who's been down here in the area a few times.
Absolutely. Yeah, she has family here. Listen, this is so exciting for me. QL, you are really... Man, you are doing it. If I must say, you are doing what you do. You're a media personality. You're a podcast host. You're a community leader, and you're a content creator. Yeah. Now, you are a powerhouse media personality, and you're doing all of those things. It was in 2024 that you proudly celebrated your 10 years in radio. Yeah. And your journey that began and landed your first job. Just 16 years old.
16.
And you grew into one of the most influential voices here in the upstate of South Carolina.
Well, that's what they say.
How did that happen?
How did it happen? I got to give a huge shout outs to my high school, Dorman High School, because we had something called Junior Job Shadow.
You went to Dorman?
I went to Dorman.
Wow.
Right up 85, one of the biggest high schools in the state of South Carolina.
Huge.
Yeah. They like to call us Dorman University sometimes.
Absolutely.
But nevertheless, we had something called Junior Job Shadow one day. And I remember I always wanted to be like, because I was always so interested in like tech stuff. Anything behind the scenes, technical things. Like when I was a kid, I was always fixing the TV and the VCRs and the DVD players because I just understood that. So when I got to school, I was like, you know what? I want to work at a TV station, like behind the scenes, producing or something like that.
Wow.
I tried all the local TV stations from Fox to YFF to News Channel 7. Yeah. Nobody picked me up. Nobody emailed me back.
Wow.
And I went back to my guidance counselor office and I told her, I said, hey, I can't get in. I don't know what to do. Junior Job Shadow Day was the following week and I had to figure it out. She said, why don't you hit up a local radio station? So I did that. And I definitely got to give a huge shout outs to Summit Media at the time because there was a lady by the name of Jackie Brown who walked me in and she was like, look, you can come, you can shadow all of our personalities and our producers. And by the time I got in, meeting Tone Hollywood, Vicky James, Kelly Mack, they told me, they were like, well, QL, you want to be in radio, you got to learn all aspects of radio, not just the tech stuff behind the scenes. And I think that's where the whole vocal training started to come in at. And, you know, I would be in the studio till like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, just practicing my voice, trying to get ready for this time right now that I'm living today.
That is amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. You know, I've always been on the announcing side, but I never really got behind the scenes and learned the engineering side, the equipment side, learning, you know, really just learning the technical side, like you say, of it. And I still want to do that if I ever got back in radio. Now let's talk about this your podcast where you sometimes you interview everyone from Meg the Stallion, and then on the other hand, you with Leandria Johnson.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about a diverse genre of music here. Can you explain how is it that God has blessed you on one genre, and then you can go right into the gospel, my first love, because I was a gospel DJ for so many years. Yeah. How is it that you have come to where you can do both?
Well, here's the thing. Gospel is my first love too. Church is my first love. Like what people don't understand is sometimes is, yes, they may hear what I play on 96 The Block. But you know, in the morning when I wake up, I got Yolanda Adams on.
Come on now.
I got Kurt Franklin on.
Come
I'm
on.
going to throw in some Tamala Man, and we may go all the way back and play some John P. Key as well. That's just who I am. I love gospel music. I am a lover of gospel music.
Wow.
I love to, check out some of the new artists that are coming up. I remember when Chandler Moore first, made his like interest into the whole gospel industry, and just from his dad being a bishop down here in this area, and he was at the different churches. So to see him from the local churches to now these big stages,
that's amazing.
I mean, it's amazing. And I think it just comes to it shows you that what hard work and dedication can do. But I say all that to say this: people that know me personally, they know that I have a love for God. That's my first love. And I know that if it wasn't for him, I would not be here. Like behind the scenes, we were talking about my speech impediment. A lot of people didn't know that I suffered with a speech impediment all of my life. I remember being in elementary school and having to go to speech classes. Like I would have to leave my regular class where all the kids were and go to a speech therapist. And we did that all of my elementary career, half of my middle school career. And I got to a certain age and I said, I just don't want to do this anymore. It was embarrassing. I didn't feel like all of the other kids. And I just felt like I was set apart from everyone. And by the time I got into radio, I figured out a way to make it work for me. From all the things they taught me from a kid and then till I got to as an adult, it just worked for me, And then I always thought, because growing up, they were like, well, people would prophesy to me and they would say that, that the Lord wanted me to minister and I was going to have this large platform and I was going to be leading people back to Jesus. But why can't it be in this studio here? Like I may not play gospel music, but I know people hear the love of God through my voice.
Right.
I know
and your voice is still going out all over the airwaves, and you're blessing people with, in between those songs, with what you say, you're still blessing people in this medium.
And I don't understand it sometimes because people will come up to me, because there's some shows where I won't even mention his name, but people will come up to me and they'll tell me, I just want to hear your voice, like the joy that's in your voice. And that's how I know that it's the Holy Spirit that's working through me. And to your point, I was nervous about the gospel concert because when I put the gospel concert out last year, when we were bringing Leandria and Kalante, people were looking at me, they were like, wait, you work for a hip hop station. Why are you doing a gospel concert? I'm like, we party together all the time. Can we worship together one day?
Come on now.
That's it, just one day.
Wow.
And, here we are, year 2, and we're still doing it.
That's amazing. I think the most amazing thing to me when I heard about your concert last year, I'm like, he's not even a gospel DJ.
Yeah.
And then when I discovered that the love that you have for God, man, I was so delighted just to hear that. And just to even hear you putting on a concert like that was just amazing to me.
Yes.
And I didn't get to make it, but I did see the video.
You will make it this year, though.
I will make it this year
for you and your wife.
Well, see, look at that. So I didn't do this interview for that, and we're going to talk about that event that's coming up right now too. But I'm so elated, man, with your life. And how old are you, if you don't mind?
29 years old.
This dude is 29 years old, ladies and gentlemen, and already doing some of the great things. I mean, all of the great things that he's doing here in the upstate. It is just amazing what you are doing. Now, let's go back to your, and then we're going to get into what you have coming up.
Yeah.
You're a student of Voorhees University, proud member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity.
Yes.
You host a QL show right here at a local station here in the city. Blends inspiration and high-profile interviews. Also, as I mentioned, people from Meg Thee Stallion. You've interviewed James Fortune, Kalante Gavin, Leandria Johnson, and just so many things that you're doing on the airwaves. But you have 2 signature events that are coming up here in the city of Greenville, South Carolina. Let's talk about it.
All right. So the very first one is our tour. We have like a back to school block party tour. I've been doing this for like 9 or 10 years now. I believe it's 10 years that I've been doing this. Where we go from Anderson, Greenville, and Spartanburg, and we give back to the community. And what's so different about the QL back to school block party tour is that, I remember growing up going to these back to school block parties, and the kids always felt a certain type of way because they got these backpacks, and the backpacks was branded with the company, and you knew you were coming in just to get school supplies.
Right.
What we do is recreate this experience, whereas, you come to get school supplies, but what about this? Like, and we have all these different resources that's there. We give away TVs, we give away laptops, produce. I mean, and we just have a good time. It truly is an experience. So that's the first event, but then part 2 of that is the QL and Friends worship experience. So after the tour, we'll be gearing up for the worship experience, which is going to be at Love Story Church with the pastor is John Gray, formerly known as Relentless Church. But this year we're bringing BET Sunday's Best winner, Tasha Page Lockhart.
Wow.
James Fortune is celebrating 21 years with James Fortune and Fire. So he's coming.
Phenomenal.
Zacardi Cortez, he's been in the area for a few times. They love Zacardi in South Carolina.
Yes,
so
man.
He's going to be here. Keelante Gavin is coming. We just added the Princess of Southern Soul, West Love. Now, here's the thing.
Oh, wow.
Everybody loves Southern Soul, but you know, when you go to these Southern Soul concerts, it's crazy. But each artist, they always do a gospel song. They always do a gospel song. And I was doing my research about Southern Soul. In the roots of Southern Soul, it goes back to the church.
Look at that.
It goes back to the church. So we're gonna have the Princess of Southern Soul, West Love here, and I got a few more special guest surprises I want to talk about.
You can't tell yet.
Yeah, I can't tell now. But one of your favorite actors has just confirmed, and they're going to be in the building too. So
you know what? When you mentioned how some artists who may be in R&B or whatever, and it seems like they always have to touch on the gospel before they leave.
Yeah.
I was at Fantasia and Anthony Hamilton. Man, let me tell you something. First of all, I had no idea Anthony Hamilton went there.
Yeah.
But he went there at that concert here in Greenville.
Listen, I was there with you.
Oh, my goodness. I had no idea. When I tell you, I felt like I was in heaven.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know how Fantasia, she's going to always bring the church. She's going to always bring that up in
But it's like she gives it to you every performance, she leaves it all on the stage. I have never seen Fantasia where she gave you a different energy than she gave the night before.
That's
it's like she's consistent in who she is.
She is so consistent. When I tell you, you know, when she's hitting that floor, when she's in that praying style on the floor, you know she's getting ready to take you down. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it right now. Well, but I love that about
So when you think about Fantasia, think about that in the Southern Soul realm, because that's who West Love is. West Love is like, she gives that Fantasia vibe. We did a concert with her last year at the Greenville Convention Center. Sure. It was just her. She headlined. Frank Johnson, he was there as well.
Frank, yeah.
And let me tell you, Frank can take you to church too.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
But she came there and sold the place out. But there was a moment where we just did 15 minutes of worship, and I just sat there and I cried my eyes out, and I think it was because I realized, I was like, wow, we're all here and people are having a good time. They're dancing, but they also understand the reason why we're here. And though we can have a good time to all this secular music, but there's also that one reason why we're here. Yeah. And
where did your faith come from? Who's responsible for you for having this faith aspect of your life? Have you ever really thought about it and pinned it? Where is it that who was pivotal in your life, maybe that got you to faith and just really where you recognize God in your life?
I would say the women in my life, my great grandmother, Carolyn Dawkins, my grandmother, Geneva Dawkins, and my mother, Anitra Dawkins. And I would say this because growing up, I seen my mother have to make it through tests and trials in order to make sure that me and my sister was well taken care of. And she fought the hardest and she did the best that she could. And I mean, do you see, you know what I mean, what I am doing right now? I am a product of my mother. And then I think about my grandmother, and I remember, you know, being in the car with her. She had like this 1995 Honda Accord, and we'll go over these like white rocks, because we went to like this Baptist church on this back road out in Arkwright called Community Baptist Church. Maybe only got like 20 pews in there, but you know those churches where you got to drive on the rocks. So I remember driving there every Sunday with my grandma, and she made us pay attention to church. We can have our snacks and stuff, but you had to pay attention to church. You had to pull that red hymn book out.
Come on,
when you're reading that book, you better read along. If you didn't know how to read, you better act like it.
You better act like it.
And then I think about my great grandmother, Carolyn Dawkins, who has achieved so much in her life, and has went through so much in her life, but you don't see it because of just she has a different type of strength and faith, and I just can't really explain it. But I see her faith, and I say, you know what? I want to be just like that woman right there. I mean, even to this day, my great grandmother is going through some things, health wise, and I watched her still try and attempt to do things that she knew she probably couldn't do, but because of the woman that she is, and because of the creator that she believes, she did it anyways. And every time I asked my grandma, like, Grandma, are you all right? She said, well, Quan, if my eyes are open and my head is above water, I'm okay. The good Lord takes care of me. And you know, and that always brings a joy to my life, because my grandmother don't know some of the personal things that I may go through or my sister may go through. But to hear her say that, and to know she can't even walk the way she used to walk 10 years from now, it's like, well, whatever you got going on, that's okay. That's okay. It's going to be all right.
Is that where you probably get your work ethic? Because we're not going to even talk about your work days and how much you work and how many days. The man literally does not have a day off. We just sat here and talked about that a few minutes ago. Who do you think you get the work ethic from?
My mother. My mother, for sure. I watched her work multiple jobs to make sure that me and my
Mm.
sister was taken care of.
Wow.
I mean, when I tell my mom is a hard worker. She is
Mhm.
truly a hard worker, and she's very independent. I think that's where my independence come from.
Oh,
Where I don't know, like I know that I got to make it happen.
that's right.
But I see my mama make it happen all my life. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
I believe that's where my work ethic comes from.
You know what? You're an outstanding young man, man. I just appreciate you, and I just love the diversity of your life. And what I mean by diversity is that in the church, out of the church, secular music, gospel music, giving back to the community, you just have your head on right. You don't make it all
Yeah.
about you. I always said, I said in an interview not too long ago, anybody that can give back to the community,
Yeah.
it says something about them. It says something about your faith, your personhood. It just says something about you're not just in it for yourself.
No.
You
I
know,
do it
you
for
don't
the
have to do
community.
those back
It's so
to school
crazy.
things.
I don't, and I'm even getting chills talking about this because I feel like God is in this place right
Oh,
now. Because let me
absolutely.
tell you
I
something.
feel it.
Like,
Yeah.
I like the joy I get when I go out in public and I realize that people don't judge me for being who I am. Like,
Mhm.
of course, they know I work for a hip hop station. They know I
Yeah.
have to host parties. I have to host concerts. I like
Sure.
to have a good time. But also at the end of the day, the Lord
Come on,
is
man.
like I can't explain it, but I always have to go back to Him every morning before I
Sure.
go to bed. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
an individual. And the fact that the Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, upstate community, they accept who
Wow.
I am, all parts of me.
Yes.
I don't know, man. It just feels good. It just feels good, and I love this job. I love what I'm doing,
I
and
can
also
tell.
I'm grateful that you even, I'm sorry about the microphone, but I'm
No, you're
grateful that
fine.
you even
Mhm.
invited me on this podcast. To kind of talk about my life because I'm so used to being on that side of the table. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
asking the questions,
Right.
but it feels cool for
Yeah.
someone to ask you questions.
So the people that come out to your event, what can they expect when they come into place? Whether it's the West Club, you
West
said?
Love, yeah.
So what can people expect when they come into those atmospheres and they come up and celebrate your event?
They can expect an experience.
Mm.
It's always going to be an experience,
Mm.
and I mean, as regards to the worship experience that's coming August 24th.
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm going to say is get in the building. If you are
get in the building,
if you are needing something, if you are wanting something from God, if you are seeking something, you've been praying about something, I think you need to be in the building.
Woo.
And again, what's so different about this though, Chris, is that we are blending the streets and the church together. Because here's the thing, I understand that there's a lot of my listeners who don't have a church home, who don't go to church every Sunday, but they believe in the Lord.
Come on now.
So what if I can bring them in this space just one night, and we worship together corporately?
That is so
I don't know what could happen, but the Lord knows.
There's people, and I'm sure it happened last year when you had your show. There's people who will come to your show, but probably have never been in a church. That's what's amazing.
I have to show you the video at the end of the service last year. Leandria was singing her final song. Tasha Cobbs that came and she ministered, and then you had John Gray who ministered, and then he gave the mic back to Leandria. Yes, and Leandria, she called the people to the altar, and literally the altar was flooded with unchurched people that was there because they wanted to know the same God that she got to know, even through her alcohol addiction. Come on, through all the things that she had went through in her life, she still knows a God. She and we worship the same God, right? But sometimes you need a person like a Leandria Johnson or like a West Love or like a QL to get you to see the same God that I had to see. Because that makes sense. Well, come on, preacher. Because listen to this. Growing up, I went to church, right? Yeah. And I seen God through the lens of my pastor, the man who stood in that pulpit. And the older I got, I realized that I had no business putting him on a pedestal, right? Absolutely. But we all do it naturally. We all do it naturally. And then you have people like a Leandria Johnson or like a QL or like a West Love who may not live the same life that you live, but she knows the Lord too. And you know that she knows the Lord because you see him working through her. Right. And sometimes there's people that's dealing with addiction. There's people that's dealing with depression. That's dealing with anxiety. I know because I've been there. Oh yeah. And you need to see somebody else who is dealing with that same thing, and not somebody else that's sitting in a suit that's looking perfect and saying that the Lord did this in my life. But what about those times in your life? We need somebody that can relate to the struggle that I have. And sometimes we do look at the preacher as being so perfect and we can't relate.
But God will use sometimes a Leandria Johnson to
Yes.
say, yeah, I like to drink. And she says a few choice words that a lot of people don't like to hear. But we need that.
We need that.
We need that. Some church people want to be so real like that, but they feel like they can't open up and be real like a Leandria Johnson.
And
we need that.
No, we do. And think about it. When you look at this line of the people that I have, you look at Tasha Page Lockhart. Tasha Page Lockhart, she went through a drug addiction before she even won Sunday's Best. You talk about Zacardi Cortez, who has not always been in the church. I mean, he talks about being in the streets and, turning his life over to the Lord. James Fortune, he's made mistakes before as well.
That's right.
I want the people to understand that no matter what you go through in life, you always have a second chance. You can always get it right. These people behind me, they had a second chance and they got it right.
You know what? God never throws us away. People will throw you away. All they have to do is see one mistake that you make, and they, especially church folk, I hate to say, and they done with you. Yeah. But God never does that. I'm not going to preach. I'm not.
Listen, you can preach if you want to, because I can use a word right now.
Listen,
that's
man,
all I'm saying.
Thank you so much for this time. This has been so great. I just wanted a few minutes really to talk to you, man, and just hear your expertise and your knowledge and the great things that you're doing.
Before you end the interview, I do have a question. What advice would you give me? I'm 11 years in the game of doing radio. I want to do this 11 more years. I want to eventually move inside of TV as well. But what advice would you give me as regards to this whole broadcasting industry? One of the things that I feel like I have lacked is that I don't really have a solid mentor, that is actually teaching me radio. I'm doing radio based off of how I know radio, if that makes sense. And I tell everybody that when people listen to the show, I say, look, I'm not your typical radio personality. I'm not your Steve Harvey, your D.L. Hughley. I get on the mic and I do it the way I like to do it, and people enjoy it. Right. But like, what would you say to me as a guy who has been in the industry, TV, radio, production, all that good stuff? What type of advice would you give me?
Man, I'm so honored that you would even ask me, because I'm telling you, I see the things that you're doing now, and I'm like, God, I wish I could have done that when I was in radio. Just from what has birthed out of you being on air, I think you're already doing it, man. Yeah. I will say, keep being yourself, because people have already responded to something that you're doing. So don't change. When you go out and start changing for people, I think that's where we mess up. So continue to be yourself, continue to pray. Continue to ask God what's next, which I was going to what I was going to end with. Continue to ask God what's next, and keep being yourself. Don't change for anybody, because when we start changing, we start trying to please. We only change because there's somebody we're trying to please. And I say, keep being yourself. That's number one.
Let me ask you another question.
Yes.
What advice would you give me as regards to me being like I'm a very busy person, right? And there's often times when you get so busy. I'm sure this happened in your life as well. You got so busy, and sometimes you put that alone time with God on the back burner.
Oh man.
What do you say to that? How do you piece that together? Because I'm sure there's people that's listening to this podcast right now that has a lot going on in their life, right? And sometimes that is put on the back burner. Then we go to church and we, and we think we're good, and that's our reset for the week. But
meditation. I don't care if it's 15 minutes a day. I don't care if it's 10 minutes a day. There's got to be a time where you can where you have to put that phone down. Yeah. I'm reading a book right now. Actually, it's at home beside my bed, called Let Them. Let people be who they are. Let them do what they do. But as far as your life, you have got to take inventory on your life, and we've got to shut out that phone. The first thing we wake up in the morning, most of us, what do we reach for?
The phone. I go straight to Facebook.
She says in that book, she said that is the worst thing you can do. She said we are taking 20 years off of our life with the phone, because we spend so much time on the phone. Yeah. So I would say we've got to learn how to meditate. How can we hear God when the first thing we picking up is the phone and listening to somebody else?
That's good. Now,
so that's number one. Good. Put that phone down. Yeah. Carve out you 15 minutes a day where there's nothing but silence. Most people don't like their own thoughts. That's a problem. I don't care how crazy your thoughts are. You've got to learn to stop and start listening for God, man. Let God speak in your day. But most people won't do that because they don't know how to stop.
And I had this conversation with a good friend of mine. She was talking about that, how sometimes like she does not like silence whatsoever. She doesn't want her TV off, no music. Right. And I'm like, well, sometimes it's okay to sit with
absolutely
with your thoughts. I mean, I had to learn that myself. I had to learn how to sit with my thoughts. Like I told you, I went through a season of depression and anxiety. And I didn't even know who I was. There were some days I didn't even know who I was. Wow. And I was on social media every day. I was on the radio every day, and nobody knew what was going on in my life.
See what I mean? Yeah.
But I had to keep going though. I had to keep going. And there was moments where I was talking so much and I realized like, maybe you're not getting through this season in your life because you keep moving, you keep talking. Like maybe you just got to quiet the noise. And I had to literally sit in silence, and it was like a self-reflection moment of my life, literally.
Right.
You know, having to
It'll
face
change
yourself
your life
every day.
Is that what helped you get through that point?
That I feel like it was that therapy and like mirror work, like literally looking at myself in the mirror, and that was hard for me, man.
I do mirror work too. I keep a little mirror in my pocket. I got that from Jason Wilson book. He said you need to learn to look at yourself and speak positivity to yourself. And so I do that too. And also I have a counselor, a great Christian counselor, a man that I talk to, and I let it all out. I tell everything.
As you should, though. I think as Black men, we should have spaces like that.
Absolutely.
And if you're watching this, I want to challenge you to do some mirror work and like actually look in the mirror and start to state positive affirmations about yourself. I remember my first therapy session I went to with Dr. Shahar Williams. Definitely going to give a few shouts out to her.
Yes,
but she put a mirror in front of me.
Come on.
And she told me, she was like, now, who are you outside of radio?
And there it is, right there.
And literally tears started to come down my face because I didn't know who I was then.
Yes.
All I knew was broadcasting. All I knew was TV. All I knew was radio, social media. And I didn't know who QL was outside of the image of QL. And that's where it started for me. It was in meditation, QL, that I learned that I was God's king. I was God's conduit. And I was God's voice. I heard him say that in meditation time. I would have never heard God say that's who I was had I not stopped and start meditating. So people don't know who they are because they don't meditate. They don't ask their creator, which is God. People don't take the time to stop and ask. And people don't, watch this. People don't like quiet. They don't like to hear their own thoughts because they don't like themselves. See, our problem is we don't like ourselves. But you have got to get to a point where you start to like and love yourself, where you will take the time to hear your own thoughts. Most people will not stop and hear their own thoughts because they don't love themselves. We got to love ourselves. Thought about it.
The Bible says that I got to love God and love my neighbor as what?
You love yourself.
I love myself, but most people don't love themselves. That's why they don't stop.
Y'all hear that?
That's why they don't stop and want to hear their own thoughts, because they don't love themselves. All right, man, look. Listen, we can go on all day, man.
This is a whole other podcast episode.
Man, dude, listen. This is blessing me. I'm hitting my mic. 10 years down the road, where is QL 10 years down the road? It's some dreams that you have. I don't know all of them that you want to tell, but certainly it's some things that you want to accomplish and do. 10 years down the road, where are you?
10 years down the road, and somebody screen record this because I want to see this 10 years from now.
I'm talking about life. Listen, I got that here. Life, career, and your calling on your life. Where are you 10 years down the road?
10 years down the road, I hope to be in a space where God truly wants me at, right? Like, I know that I'm moving and I'm doing my thing right now, but I also know there's a higher place that he's calling me to. And I've been fighting with that thing because I don't know what it is. Could it be, on like a board here in the Upstate? Could it be working for a nonprofit organization? Could it be public relations with a community organization here? Could it be TV full time? Like, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I know that I want to follow the voice of God, and wherever he tells me to go, I'll go. There was times where I felt like I didn't want to leave this Upstate area. I didn't want to leave Spartanburg, Greenville, Anderson, but if the Lord tells me I have to go somewhere else, I have to go and bring the influence with me, That's right. So 10 years from now, I don't know, maybe maybe the host of my own lifestyle show here in the Upstate. Maybe 10 years from now, and I'll speak this before 10 years, I'll be having Christopher on my show.
Oh, man.
Locally, right here in the Upstate.
That's
because,
crazy.
I really do have this goal of making that transition from radio to TV. Don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but I know if you put that in the atmosphere, you manifest those things.
Absolutely. Put it out.
So I'm believing it's going to happen.
I believe with you. I believe with you. Oprah said, if you can't speak it, you can't have it. So we got to speak it out in the atmosphere, which you just did. And so it's already out in the universe, as some people say.
I just want to be the voice for the people. The voice for the people.
The voice for the people. And I believe you already are, and you're already doing it. Thank you, man. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, QL of Greenville, South Carolina, doing his thing at this great radio station and around the world with podcasts, with media. He is a force to reckon with, and I'm so delighted to have talked to him on today. God is in this place. Really, I'm telling you, we feel it. God is in this place, and I'm so delighted, so thankful for this time. And as I always say at the end of a podcast or a broadcast, that is a wrap. Thank you. We'll see you next time.